The night was dark, and the moon was full when Mike, Sarah, Alex, Tom, and Emily made their way to the outskirts of the Area 51. The group of five had always been fascinated with the idea of extraterrestrial life, and they believed that the government was hiding something from the public. As they approached the fence that surrounded the highly guarded facility, they noticed that the guards were few and far between. It was a risky move, but they were willing to take the chance to uncover the truth. After cutting through the fence, the group began to wander around the premises. They made their way to the first building they saw, and upon entering, they noticed that everything was eerily quiet. There were no signs of life anywhere, and the silence was deafening. They decided to split up to cover more ground. Mike and Sarah went one way, while Alex, Tom, and Emily went another. As they wandered around, they started to come across some strange rooms. Some had high-tech equipment, while others were filled with weird liquids and chemicals. Suddenly, they heard a loud banging noise, and they all jumped in surprise. They looked around and noticed that the sound was coming from a door that was slightly ajar. They slowly made their way towards it, and as they got closer, the noise became more and more distinct. When they pushed the door open, they were met with a sight that they would never forget. There was a creature lying on the table, its limbs strapped down, and wires attached to its head. The creature looked like nothing they had ever seen before. Its skin was gray, and its eyes were large and black. As they were trying to process what they were seeing, they heard footsteps approaching from behind. They quickly closed the door and hid in the shadows, hoping that whoever it was would not find them. The footsteps grew louder, and they could hear the sound of keys jingling. Suddenly, the door burst open, and two guards walked in. The group froze, unsure of what to do next. The guards immediately noticed that the door was open, and they drew their weapons. They started to search the room, their flashlights scanning every corner. The group remained still, trying to blend in with their surroundings. Just as they were about to be discovered, a group of aliens appeared out of nowhere, startling the guards. The creatures had managed to escape their containment and were now on the loose. The group was shocked and scared, unsure of what to do next. The aliens looked at them with curiosity, and for a moment, it seemed like they were communicating with them telepathically. As the group was about to make a run for it, they heard a voice in their heads, telling them to follow the aliens. They hesitated at first, but the voice was persistent, and they finally decided to trust it. The aliens led them to a room that looked like a laboratory. They pointed to a device that was sitting on a table, and the voice in their heads told them to use it to open a portal. The group did as they were told, and a bright light filled the room. They stepped through the portal, and suddenly they found themselves in a different dimension. The air was thin, and the sky was a bright shade of pink. The voice in their head spoke to them again, telling them that they were in a place called Zerko, and that they had been chosen to be the ambassadors of the human race. The group was confused and scared, unsure of what was happening to them. As the group was still trying to process the information that they were given, the voice in their heads continued to speak. It told them that they had been brought to Zerko to help broker a peace treaty between their planet and Earth. The aliens had been studying humans for a long time, and they believed that the group could help bridge the communication gap between the two species. At first, the group was skeptical. They had come to Area 51 to find evidence of alien life, but they never expected to become the ambassadors of the human race. But as they looked around, they realized that Zerko was a beautiful place. The air was clean, and the creatures that inhabited the planet were friendly and welcoming. As they were contemplating their next move, they heard a loud noise coming from the portal that they had just used. They turned around and saw that the portal was starting to close. They had to make a decision quickly to stay on Zerko and become the ambassadors of the human race or risk being trapped in a different dimension forever. In the end, they decided to take a chance and return to Earth. They stepped through the portal, and suddenly they were back in the laboratory at Area 51. They looked around, and everything was as it was before they had left. They realized that they had been gone for only a few seconds. They looked at each other, wondering if what they had experienced had been real or just a hallucination. But deep down, they knew that it was real. They had been chosen by the aliens to be the ambassadors of the human race, and it was up to them to fulfill that role. As they were leaving the facility, they heard a loud voice in their heads once again. The voice thanked them for their cooperation and told them that they would be in touch soon. The group looked at each other, knowing that their lives had been changed forever. As they made their way back home, they knew that they could never tell anyone about their experience. No one would believe them, and they would be labeled as crazy. But they also knew that they had a secret that they could never share with anyone else. And so, the group kept their secret, but they never forgot the experience that they had at Area 51. They went on with their lives, but deep down, they knew that they had been chosen for something greater. And who knows, maybe one day the aliens would return, and they would need the help of the ambassadors of the human race once again. Thank you for listening to this bedtime story, and remember, if you struggle with falling or staying asleep at night, click on the first link in the description for the ultimate solution to your problem. Now, choose one of these two videos and continue on our journey in the world of bedtime stories.